something moved on Europa. Before NASA even launched the Europa Clipper, cameras caught a dark shape gliding slowly across the moon's icy surface. It didn't flash or flicker like a glitch. It didn't stretch like a beam of light. This thing moved with purpose, like it knew it was being watched. The timing couldn't have been stranger. Just as NASA's mission faced delay after delay, Europa suddenly decided to put on a show. Coincidence? Maybe. But this wasn't just any random shadow. It had too much intent, too much character. And now the world can't stop looking at Jupiter's frozen moon. Beneath Europa's icy crust, possibly up to 20 kilometers thick, there's a liquid ocean. Not just water trapped in ice, but an actual ocean, sloshing and swirling in the darkness. And it stays warm not because of sunlight, Europa barely gets any, but because Jupiter's intense gravitational pull stretches and squeezes the moon like dough. That constant flexing creates internal heat. Scientists call it tidal heating, and it's one of the main reasons Europa is considered one of the most likely places in the solar system to host life. But what if something down there already knows we're coming? It's almost poetic. For years, NASA has been building toward this mission, sending the Europa Clipper to fly by the moon, snap high-resolution photos, and scan beneath the ice. But just as it gets close to launch, Europa itself seems to react. Like it's teasing us. Like it's aware. Some scientists call it a coincidence, but this moon has a long history of strange behavior. There were reddish streaks, stains left by unknown chemicals. Then geysers were spotted blasting water into space. And now this, a slow, crawling shadow caught on camera, is starting to feel less like chance and more like story. The Clipper's job is straightforward: gather data. It's loaded with cameras, radar systems, magnetic sensors, and atmospheric instruments. It won't land, but it will fly past Europa dozens of times, building a complete picture. It's like a floating detective, sniffing for clues hidden under layers of alien ice. But here's the challenge. If something really is alive down there, snapping pictures from orbit might not be enough. Something moving under 20 kilometers of ice won't exactly wave at the camera. To find it, we might have to go deeper, literally into the ocean itself. That's where future missions come into play. Scientists are already dreaming of sending a lander that can drill through Europa's thick crust and release a robotic probe into the ocean. Picture it: a camera plunging into a black abyss untouched for billions of years. No sunlight. No wind. Just pressure and silence. And maybe something else. A new form of life. A whole new kind of biology. Creatures adapted to the crushing depths, to the pitch dark, to a world without surface. What if something intelligent is already down there, watching the ice above, and now watching us? Europa doesn't make it easy. Its surface is a nightmare to navigate, cracked and ridged like a shattered eggshell. Reddish scars stretch across it, lines thought to be filled with salts and minerals from below. These aren't just surface marks, they're signs of movement, pressure, and activity. Some areas are what scientists call chaos terrains, melted, refrozen patches of ice, possibly formed when the crust broke open and water rushed out. These are signs that the ocean beneath is alive, restless, and maybe trying to communicate, or escape. The shadow that crawled across the moon wasn't the first signal. Magnetic anomalies were picked up years ago. Strange infrared readings followed. None of these made headlines, but taken together, they suggest something dynamic is happening under the ice. Something resisting the cold and silence. Now with this new shadow, Europa seems to be raising its voice. Not a whisper anymore, but a shout. And we're finally listening. It's as if the moon has been waiting for us to pay attention. As if it has something to show. The strangest part of all this? It's happening sooner than expected. Most scientists assumed Europa would stay quiet until we got close, until the Clipper arrived. But now, before the spacecraft even leaves Earth, the moon is acting up. Almost like it's tired of being ignored. As if it's aware that something new is coming. Suddenly, what used to be a quiet lecture about ice and water has become something far more thrilling. People everywhere are watching. The whole world is turning its eyes toward a frozen moon with a possible secret ocean full of life. We don't know what's under the ice. Not yet. But every crack, every heat signature, every shadow that slides across Europa's surface pushes us a little closer to finding out. The stakes are higher now. The questions aren't just, is there life out there? The questions are, what kind of life? How advanced? Is it watching us? And, maybe most importantly, what happens if we make contact? The shadow could be a lone creature. Or it could be part of something bigger, an entire ecosystem we've never imagined, operating in silence beneath a frozen world. And if there's a whole system down there, a food chain, predators, prey, maybe even something intelligent, then this goes beyond science fiction. It becomes one of the biggest discoveries in human history. Because this wouldn't just be microbes or single-celled life. This would be something with presence, something that moves, maybe even something that thinks. And it's been locked in darkness for eons, unseen, unheard, untouched by anything outside. Until now. Because now we're watching. With probes. With cameras. With curiosity, and a little bit of fear. Still, Clipper hasn't even launched. It's sitting on Earth, fueled up, waiting for its turn. The original launch window was October, but a hurricane delayed that. Now it's scheduled for mid-October barring any more setbacks. Once it lifts off, it'll slingshot around Mars and Earth to pick up speed, before heading toward Jupiter. The journey will take nearly 6 years. A long wait but necessary. Because once Clipper arrives, the real work begins. 50 flybys. Each one bringing it closer to Europa's secrets. Each one another chance to catch something we never expected. But before Clipper could even leave Earth, something unexpected already happened. Telescopes spotted something moving, slowly, deliberately, across Europa's icy surface. It wasn't a camera glitch. It wasn't dust or a passing shadow from Jupiter. It was on the moon itself. Long, thin. Crawling. Moving too slowly to be a rockslide. Too smoothly to be random. That's when scientists and the public alike began paying serious attention. This wasn't a flicker. It wasn't a blur. It was a shape with direction, and that changes everything. This isn't the first time Europa's hidden depths have given us a hint. Back in the 1990s, NASA's Galileo spacecraft flew past Jupiter and noticed strange magnetic signals around Europa. Something conductive was causing the magnetic field to act strange. Salty water? Maybe. That was the first real sign that a hidden ocean might exist beneath the ice. Then, in 2013, the Hubble Space Telescope made a game-changing discovery, a plume shooting water vapor straight out into space. Europa was leaking. And that meant the ocean wasn't just theory anymore, it was reaching for us. That was huge. If water from Europa's ocean could reach space, then maybe we wouldn't need to drill. Maybe Clipper could simply fly through the plumes and collect samples. That alone could reveal minerals, salts, maybe even the organic building blocks of life. That would be a dream come true for astrobiologists. No complex landers. No risky drilling. Just catch the spray. But there's a catch. The plumes aren't predictable. They come and go. One day there, the next day gone. So timing matters. And if Clipper catches even one plume during a flyby, it could rewrite everything we know about alien oceans. And still, there's that shadow. It doesn't act like vapor or escaping gas. It didn't rise and disappear. It moved across the surface. Some think it could be gas pushing up from beneath. Others say it's surface ice cracking or shifting. But others, they aren't so sure. The movement was too smooth. Too purposeful. Something gliding. Something watching. Whatever it was, it doesn't fit into a neat explanation. And that's what has scientists most intrigued. They aren't jumping to conclusions, but they're not dismissing it either. Because Europa has always had a tendency to surprise. Clipper will orbit Jupiter, not Europa directly, because Jupiter's radiation belts are deadly. Too much exposure and the spacecraft's electronics could fry. So instead, Clipper will perform a series of looping orbits, diving toward Europa for close flybys, then swinging away to safety. It's a delicate dance repeated 49 times. Each pass will gather a different type of data. Surface mapping, magnetic field readings, heat scans, and atmospheric analysis. Every flyby gets us closer to peeling back the icy shell and seeing what really lies beneath. Like peeling back layers of an ancient mystery, each pass the Europa Clipper makes will get us one step closer to uncovering the truth. This spacecraft isn't just loaded with generic gear. It's equipped with custom-built tools specifically designed to cut through ice and reveal what's underneath. There's an ice-penetrating radar to measure the thickness of the frozen crust, a thermal camera to spot areas that are unnaturally warm, a spectrometer to detect chemicals in the air, and a magnetometer to read subtle shifts in magnetic fields, hints that salt or liquid water might be flowing below. And there's even a dust analyzer, ready to catch particles drifting in the moon's thin exosphere. That exosphere, Europa's faint veil of gas, is more important than it sounds. Even if Clipper doesn't get lucky enough to fly through one of Europa's famous water geysers, it can still sniff for escaping materials. If anything is evaporating from the surface, especially ocean water bubbling up through the crust, it'll leave a trail. Traces of salt, carbon, maybe even complex molecules could be floating there, offering indirect evidence of activity below. And while Clipper isn't designed to directly detect life, it won't be digging, drilling, or scooping, What it can do is tell us whether the core ingredients of life are present: water, carbon, energy, and salt. If those align, it's more than enough to justify what comes next. And that next is already being dreamed into blueprints. A lander. Something that can touch Europa's crust, get a grip, and go deeper. Maybe it'll use drills. Maybe heaters to melt through the ice. Maybe tiny robots that could crawl into cracks and carry instruments. The ultimate fantasy is to pierce the ice and drop a camera, maybe even a sensor, into the subsurface ocean. To see it, hear it, feel it. That's still years away. But each image from Clipper, every odd magnetic signal, even strange shadows like the one recently spotted, all build momentum. Each anomaly strengthens the case. Because something is going on beneath Europa's shiny surface, and it's bigger than we expected. Europa isn't just sitting there. It orbits Jupiter at a distance of about 400,000 miles and completes a full orbit every 4 days. But that orbit isn't smooth, it stretches and warps, putting Europa under constant tidal stress. The entire moon groans and flexes, and this may be what keeps its ocean warm. Without that stress, the interior would be frozen solid. The recent shadow? It might be tied to one of those flexing events. Maybe the crust cracked. Maybe gas escaped. Or just maybe, we saw the echo of something else. Something not explained by natural forces. Something unfamiliar and deliberate. NASA's Europa Clipper is set to arrive at Jupiter in April 2030. Once there, it'll have just 4 years to do its job before Jupiter's intense radiation starts tearing the spacecraft apart. That's the window. 49 flybys. 49 chances to get the data we need. After that, the mission ends. If Clipper finds enough signs, chemical traces, thermal hotspots, unexplained magnetic patterns, the push for a follow-up lander will become unstoppable. The scientific community is already abuzz. Some researchers want to send drills. Others argue for melting probes. Some imagine mini-submarines that could slip through a tunnel and dive into the ocean. But before any of that can happen, we need to know where to go. And that's where the shadow might change everything. If it appears again, if it moves again, it could serve as a signpost. A guide pointing toward a location worth landing on. Worth drilling into. The mission is already funded, with a price tag north of $5 billion. But if it delivers, if Clipper shows that Europa is habitable, maybe even active, it won't just justify the cost. It'll spark a new era of planetary exploration. Not just for Europa but for other icy moons too. Enceladus, orbiting Saturn, has geysers shooting water into space. Neptune's Triton might have hidden volcanoes under its icy skin. Even Pluto has shown strange, shifting surface features. It's like the cosmos is full of frozen shells hiding liquid cores. Oceans sealed in ice hiding chemistry, motion, maybe life. And Europa might be the one to break that mystery open. This isn't about little green aliens or flying saucers. It's about discovering that life can hide in the darkest, most unexpected corners of our solar system. Life that thrives in the cold, in the silence, where we assumed there was nothing. NASA's job is to cut through myth and guesswork. No fantasy. No hype. Just real science. And Clipper is their ice-carving, dust-sniffing, radiation-dodging tool designed for exactly that. The countdown is on. The shadow has everyone watching. And Clipper is locked in and flying. Europa, here we come. But just when scientists thought things couldn't get any weirder, they did. What NASA saw wasn't just interesting, it was unnerving. A massive shadow crossed Europa's surface. Not a glitch. Not a weird lens flare. Something large and real moved across the frozen moon. And no one was expecting it. Clipper wasn't even there yet, it was still doing practice scans from far away. And still its sensors caught it. At first, engineers assumed it was a software hiccup. Then more data came in. Other instruments saw it too. The shadow had structure. It moved across Europa's ice with deliberate motion. It wasn't random. It wasn't passive. It was aware. And that's when everything changed. This shadow left a visible trail. Something had disrupted the top layer of ice. It crossed known cracks. It hovered near known geyser sites. It didn't appear to be from the Clipper spacecraft, nor from any other mission. It wasn't light distortion or cosmic radiation. It was something physical. Something that moved with intent. And if that's true, we might not just be dealing with signs of microbial life, we might be looking at a sign of intelligence. Now let's zoom out for context. Europa has always been special. It was discovered by Galileo in 1610. For over 400 years, it's been orbiting Jupiter quietly. But beneath its icy shell is a liquid ocean, possibly more water than all of Earth's oceans combined. And scientists have long believed that where there's water, there could be life. Not just microbes. Not just sludge. Real, complex, active life. The Clipper spacecraft is massive, bigger than a school bus and armed to the teeth with tech. It launched atop a Falcon Heavy rocket, and now it's cruising through the solar system with one goal: uncover the truth beneath Europa's frozen skin. But it's already finding surprises. During those early tests, the mysterious shadow appeared, and since then NASA has gone strangely quiet. No major press releases. No reassuring tweets. Just internal discussions and quiet panic. Scientists behind the scenes ruled out radiation, imaging errors, even magnetic anomalies. The shape was too defined. The path was too deliberate. And so, the whispers began, whispers about intelligent life. Whispers about something watching. The shadow appeared near a geyser vent. Hubble had detected these geysers years ago, plumes of water shooting into space. They're real. They're possibly connected directly to the ocean beneath the ice. So if this object came from one of those vents, it means it wasn't just a gas eruption. It could have been a planned emergence. Something coming to the surface. That's a terrifying thought. Clipper is still on its way, still using Earth and Mars as slingshot points. When it arrives in 2030, it'll perform those 49 ultra-close flybys, some within just 25 kilometers of the surface. That's closer than any spacecraft has ever dared. But Jupiter's radiation is unforgiving. That's why Clipper's brain is locked inside a thick vault of shielding. It was built like a fortress. But whatever made that shadow? It moved through those radiation zones like it didn't care. Smooth. Silent. Intentional. The spacecraft's cameras are cutting edge. They can zoom in on cracks and search for hotspots. The radar can see under the ice. Spectrometers can detect even faint traces of salts, ammonia, or life-linked chemicals. But none of that explains what they saw. None of that predicted a moving shape. This wasn't noise. It wasn't background activity. It was something new. Something that seems alive. If that shadow, now being unofficially dubbed Object Echo, is real, the mission has shifted from investigation to potential contact. Scientists are reprogramming Clipper's instruments to prioritize pattern detection. They're scanning for any leftover chemical trails, any disruption in the surface ice. If Echo is alive, it would need energy. It would need to eat, breathe, or leave some kind of mark. And that's what Clipper is now hunting for. Art. There's even talk of accelerating plans for a lander, despite how dangerous that would be. Europa's surface is brutal. Jagged ridges, pits, ice boulders the size of buildings. It's a minefield. But if there's a chance to land near where Echo moved, it might be worth the risk. Because this could be the first time we've found something out there that isn't just alive, but aware. We've been watching Europa for centuries. But maybe, just maybe, it's been watching us back.